With election just barely less than 2 weeks, and we know with lots of scarcity of the new naira note, fuel scarcity, and also the debt that will be left by the outgoing governors and also the governor that will be going for the re-election. A lot is going on in the minds of Nigerians, and hoping that there will be a better way forward towards the 2023 general election. Good afternoon and welcome to Business and Finance. I'm Sarah Elisha, and you can follow us on our Facebook and YouTube pages by dropping your comment one after the other. And I would first and foremost like us to start looking at what the press will be coming from your customers, whether they like what they are doing or not. So Press One have actually come up with an app and also a phone number that will actually help entrepreneurs to keep tap with their customers and knowing what they want, feedbacks, and also what they need to do. And it's very important at a time where most nations, especially developed countries, how they can tap into the digital space. And I think this is the right step in the right direction coming from Press One Africa, seeing the fact that entrepreneurs really need to key into these sectors, and we really need to applaud this organization for coming up with something like this. It's a phone number for what you need to do to apps that are coming out to make life better. When lots of organizations, digital space that is, you can actually keep tap of your customers wherever they are, whether they're in the country or outside the country. You can actually keep the direction coming from upcoming businesses, especially small scale businesses that are coming up, making sure that they are head and shoulders with other businesses. And I think this is the right step where lots of entrepreneurs need to key into it, so you can have excellent customer services, advertise your good in a better way, and actually keep tap with your customers that are in and outside the country. So I think it's a very nice one that we start on Africa is actually coming up with, and you can actually also key into that app and actually get that number. The Naira redesign is no longer news that the federal government together with the CBN have actually felt that it's important we have a new face for our three. That this was a step that the CBN brought in 10th of December precisely last year, and from then was when we saw the circulation of these notes that started circulating in December, and the CBN gave a time limit. I'm taking my time to go down so that I could actually bring us back memory lane, so we can actually keep our memories fresh with the steps that actually got us to where we are presently. And so we know that in December was when the currency started going in circulation, and the first step was you are only permitted to have, for individuals, you are only allowed to have 100,000 naira, and then for organizations it was just having 5 million. But later on, with the coming of the National Assembly, we had where individuals are permitted to withdraw 500,000 in a week, and then organizations can have about 500 million naira in a week. But then with these steps comes their own notes, so they could have the step the CBN actually took that step was so that they will be able to, number one, have the currency back into the bank, because about 85 their custody. So this was a step that the CBN felt it was important that they have a new face for this three local denomination, which is the 1,000 naira, 500 naira, and 200 naira. And with the National Assembly feel that they were being bypassed, and then the CBN just went straight to the press CBN, so that they could actually run some of the things, especially looking at the monetary policy. Recently we had where there was an increase in our interest rate to 16.5%, and so the CBN felt it was right to actually have a new face for our naira. But then there have been queue in banking halls, and then the naira actually right now is being sold because we have black marketers are actually selling the naira for naira. I know what we fail to understand as individuals or as customers is that we have been go to withdraw possibly for a long period of time, are now taking this thing advancedly. And that is why, you know, the Northern Governors Forum, the chairman, the generals of the various, the coexisting that the both currency can we little by little the CBN. We saw protests going on in various parts of the country, and people are not happy with this step. In as much as this is a step we all welcome, because we all want, especially with the elections by the corner, we do not want votes buying, we do not want, you know, paying of ransom for kidnappers. But then recently we have even seen kidnappers, especially, we have seen bandits actually, you know, flaunting this new naira notes. And you begin to ask questions if the step or if the siege is outside the bank, and their questions will be, how comes are we seeing that bandits are actually having this new naira note? Now, this is a question that a lot is for a new naira note. Was it necessary for this policy to come up at a time like this? Why didn't the CBN wait for this policy to be, you know, unveiled after the 2023 election? And then with a lot of people feeling that if the CBN is not holding this new naira note, why are we seeing that the money is not in circulation as it should be? In as much as, you know, the CBN were taking us down time memorial from 2015, and then looking at the fact that back then, 2015, we just had just 1.4 trillion naira outside. But one thing the CBN is failing to, you know, understand, or one thing they have that have actually skipped their mind or they have ruled out, is that from 2015 to 2023, our population is over 200 million naira to over 200 million, you know, customers for indigenes and also for citizens to run. We have lots of investors fearing with what is happening with the election coming up. Would they be able to run their businesses? Would they be able to invest in the Nigerian economy? And then also one thing is that these are some of the things that people feel that the CBN have ruled out, and that is why they are actually not doing what is the deadline, which was for the legal tender of the old currency is no longer going to be, you know, even though we have some small businesses that as of the weekend, they've started, that is to say that businesses are not of the naira, and a lot of Nigerians are beginning to key into the Bitcoin. One thing we fail to understand is that about 85% of Nigerians are not even using the bank. They do not believe in the banking. With the Nigerians are beginning to key into this Bitcoin, because we are seeing that there's a lot of interest, and, you know, especially looking at what this was, how can they, you know, get into the Bitcoin? People who have fiscal cash, of course, you shouldn't fail in actually having money electronically. But I believe that this will Nigerians comfortably, because we can see there's hunger in the land, and because we heard things. But then with the also scarcity with the naira note, even the likes of fuel stations are refusing to collect, you know, even the USSD code is will I say most of these banking apps are not working as they should. Lots of ATMs are without cash, and we've heard that lots of people are really having trouble. And so maybe this is the reason why we can see that the Northern Governors Forum, led by the chairman, is actually pleading with other attorney generals to key into this, pleading with the federal government so that the old currency can actually coexist together with the new currency, and then little by little the old currency will then fade while we use the new currency. But ATMs will be from 200 naira downward. Why are we failing to see the 50 naira and also the 100 naira in our ATMs? These are questions that I believe you're asking, and you actually need real answers to it. Why is it that CBN have actually been giving the 50 naira, but then the 50 naira are multilayered? That is to say, they are all 1,000 naira. We can't have the 500 naira. We can't have things. People are angry, and we'll see lots of breaking of laws. There will not be voters' apathy, because if people are hungry, they won't fail to show up at the polling unit. So I hope that the CBN is actually reasoning in this direction, even though we are still waiting for the ruling from the Supreme Court, which will take place on the 15th, which is on Wednesday. So I will just keep our fingers crossed to hear, even though it was the policy was halted last week, but then from Wednesday we'll be able to have a clear answer whether the old naira note will still be in circulation or not. And we hope that the CBN will not just keep mum, but they will actually tell us and actually address hunger that is in the land presently as a result of us not having the new naira notes in circulation as it should. So I hope that the CBN will actually take that into cognizance, just as we hope